Welcome everyone to our YouTube channel. I am Luciano Patrao. I'm a senior consultant here in ITQ, and we are here today with
Riemer. I'm a staff multi-cloud architect, and today we're going to talk about how to accelerate the multi-cloud journey for our customers with VMware Cloud, right? So typically when we talk about a multi-cloud with our customers, that we see that, even like 70% or more are already consuming 2 or 3 public clouds, right? But where is this journey started, and what are the issues with the multi-cloud approach for our customers? This is what we're going to talk about. So what we all see with our customers, of course, they have somehow a data center already, right? With a vSphere environment, where they have their, ESXi hosts and a management component like the vCenter, right? So years ago, typically they start to consume somehow one of the public clouds by, using specific services of this cloud provider. In this case, let's say AWS. For example, they're consuming S3 or EC2 instances, RDS databases, and so on. Quickly, they realize that one of those cloud services is not enough for their application requirements, right? So there comes a second cloud provider into the game. Let's say Azure, right? Where they start to consume services like Active Directory or SQL, and you name it. And then there comes a new requirement from the application side to maybe do some analytics stuff, machine learning, big data, stuff like this. So quickly we will see a third cloud provider, in this case, Google, right? So as said, big data, and then ML, AI, for example, right? And all of those cloud providers and cloud services is awesome from the application perspective. Nevertheless, this multi-cloud approach brings complexity to our customers. And complexity typically is also a challenge, right? So it's complex to manage all of those environments, because they all have somehow their own portal, they have their own way of, managing things or consuming stuff. There is the lack of skill set many times that we see, and it's not easy to hire new people with all the different skill sets, in Google, in Azure, in AWS. And also the tooling that we need for backup solutions, for automation and all this stuff, right? So you need to have those things ready to actually be able to consume a full multi-cloud approach when we talk about native public clouds.
we see here the 3 main public providers, but what others providers that VMware supports?
Unfortunately, this desk here is not big enough. We support more than 4,000, or partnering up with more than 4,000 cloud providers. And we have, of course, all the big ones like Oracle, Alibaba, IBM, you name it. But today we were focusing only on the main 3 hyperscalers, as you mentioned, the big ones. Nevertheless, again, we partner up with more than 4,000 cloud providers, right? So once we see this complexity and challenges, we as VMware decided to help our customers by abstracting and simplify things with our cross-cloud services. And if we look into the cross-cloud services, basically 3 parts in the stack. It is infrastructure, it is operations, and it's developer models, right? How to create a consistent way for the developers to develop new applications, how to create a consistent way for the operation people to manage all those different environments, and how to deliver a consistent infrastructure so that people can easily migrate their workloads into the cloud and off the cloud, right? So again, we start with the data center of our customers, right? So is the customer data center, right? And typically they have somehow a vSphere environment already, right? They have a management component like the vCenter.
Yeah.
And then what we are doing is basically we're partnering up with those hyperscalers and using their physical resources. So when we talk about hyperscaler data centers or regions, availability zones, whatsoever, let's keep it simple. Their physical resources. Basically, we're using their bare metal hardware and providing our best-in-class software-defined data center stack, right? So, another box, another host, and an SDDC. And if I talk about SDDC, it's typically a software-defined data center based out of vSphere, vSAN, and NSX, and it's all on demand, right? So you can consume CPU, memory, storage, and networking on demand without the hustle of maintaining the infrastructure layer itself. And we are not doing this, only with AWS. We also have the same experience with Azure, with Google, with Alibaba, and all the hyperscalers basically at the end of the day, where you can get an SDDC as a service. We also have the same management with the vCenter. So vCenter on-prem, vCenter in the cloud, right? And the beauty of this, because we are running in this hyperscaler data centers or hyperscaler physical infrastructure, we can basically have a native access to their native services. Because we have a backend networking connection to those network native services. Means I can have a traditional application and I can improve it, I can make it, better with native services.
But if customers ask how they can migrate from their on-prem to the cloud providers or for the service that they need, applications, VMs, etc.
Yeah, so when we talk about virtual machines, let's assume we have a VM here. We do have a feature or a tool that we can use in this whole construct that called HCX, what is hybrid cloud extension. That means with this tooling, I can really build a hybrid cloud approach that my on-premise data center and my SDDC in the cloud is basically connected to each other, and I have a full portability of my application by leveraging a feature in this tool that called layer 2 stretch. So means what I create is I make this network that is on-premise available in the cloud. I can also stretch network from one cloud provider, from AWS, let's say, to Azure or to Google. And with this, I have really a freedom. So I just take my application and I migrate it over here without the change of IP addresses, without the change of MAC addresses, without the even non-disruptive if we want, so we can do a live vMotion if all the surrounding conditions are working. All the dependencies and all this stuff, we can just use the whole application stack or just one application, and everything will just work as it is. When we think about AWS or Azure, right, if I want to migrate there, it's kind of a hustle. You need to think about re-architecture and all this stuff.
Because we know that moving any VMs or application from on-prem to public clouds is always difficult. So some customers have some difficulties to move all the applications because we need to rebuild or re-architect or not.
Yeah.
So with this solution, everything is set, then we just migrate from one side to another.
Exactly. And then we have basically, at the end of the day, a consistent infra. Right? So that means that we providing the same SDDC experience in all the hyperscalers, in all our cloud providers, and the customer ends up with a freedom of choice, and they can decide, which hyperscaler to consume.
Yeah. So because now we have applications, VMs on one side, applications, VMs on the other side, so on both sides, on-prem and all SDDC on the other side. But as a customer, we're looking at this, how can we manage all this infrastructure as one place?
Yeah, so As said, through the stack, we have consistent infra, we have consistent operations. And how we do this is basically by leveraging our vRealize approach. So it means that we basically have the vRealize products. And in vRealize, we do have automation, we have monitoring, we have logging. We even can basically, before we migrate the applications with Network Insight, we can make dependencies of this virtual machine visible. We can understand what kind of firewall rules are in place so that the migration, once we migrate it, we can set exactly the same firewall rules and all this stuff. So vRealize is really helping me to basically automate not only on-premise and deploy application, no. In the same fashion, I can basically deploy stuff here and here. So for me, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I use and where. It's all abstracted and make it simple and easy to consume. So I have a consistent ops.
Okay. Yeah. So we have now our all stack, so vSphere, SDC on public cloud, we have our management upper, but now a customer want to migrate back some of their applications or VMs or whatever they want to do it. Is this possible in this configuration?
Yeah, that's the beauty of this solution, is because it's vSphere everywhere. You have a full exit strategy. We see this as a concern with a lot of the big customers, is that saying, okay, I migrate everything to one of the public clouds, and then I'm stuck there, right? Kind of a vendor lock-in. With this solution, you are not stuck in there. You really can migrate your workloads wherever you want to migrate them and where they need to be at the end of the day. So an exit strategy is always part of our discussion. And again, with this solution, you don't have one way into the cloud. You have basically a bi-directional way, so you can migrate it back, or even if you decide, to another hyperscaler.
Yeah, that's what so you also can go to another public provider if it's a decision to have one or two second one.
Exactly.
It's also possible.
Exactly, because it's a consistent infrastructure everywhere.
Okay. So today there is containers a lot. So everyone is moving to container, not everyone, but is something that is in the future. So a customer has this infrastructure, so how can he also use their containers that they have today on this infrastructure?
Yeah, as you said, everyone is talking container, everyone is talking Kubernetes, and all this stuff. And also here, as I said, right, in our cross-cloud services, we are delivering not just the infrastructure operation layer, no, we can deliver a full developer model basically by using the Tanzu portfolio. Right, so again, I will draw it up, and with the Tanzu portfolio, we have a lot of solutions in there to support our developers, but also the operations team by basically running a Kubernetes orchestration layer on either the VMware Cloud stack or on-premise, or even managing native services that run basically Tanzu. So with Tanzu, we really support this consistent developer model. And at the end of the day, what we have is consistency everywhere. Consistency everywhere. Right? That is an easy approach for our customers to not only move workloads to the public cloud, but also start their modernization approach. So we see like a migrate and modernize approach with our customers.
So thank you, Robert, for this presentation. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. Don't forget to subscribe to our videos to have more content on our YouTube channel by ITQ. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.